What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of Iron Michael's Mind. I'm in my truck driving to Vegas for a Monster event, the Monster Energy Cup. Watch some motorcycles fly around on some dirt. So it's going to be a blast. But I get asked all the time about tips for becoming an MMA fighter. Guys, the sport of MMA has blown up exponentially, tenfold, 100-fold in the last couple of years, and so many people want to get into it. Some people just for recreation, some people for actual competition. They want to make a living out of it. And people ask me all the time, how do I get a sponsor? How do I how do I go about getting a fight? How do I do this? How do I do that? So I had a couple tips for people. First of all, it depends on what your background is. If you don't have an athletic background, you got to get into an MMA gym, focus a lot on the wrestling and focus a lot on the boxing. Being able to throw your hands with proper technique, with a good boxing coach, somebody who's going to correct every single time you make a mistake, that is key. There's so many yes man coaches out there who will let you throw a combination and it'll be wrong. 2 out of the 3 punches will be wrong with bad technique, and then just go right on to the next combination. You create muscle memory of bad technique. So that's number one. Find a good coach. In boxing, find a good coach in wrestling. Guys, there's pretty much only 2 positions in mixed martial arts, and that's standing and that's on the ground. To me, the most simple and the most precise and the most effective is boxing, and the most simple and precise and most important is wrestling. Being able to control another man or another woman's body, pick them up or her up and put them down, take them down, and be able to do some damage on the ground. So find a good wrestling coach. If you're in high school, join a wrestling team. Join your high school wrestling team. If you want to be an MMA fighter and your heart is truly being pulled in the direction of mixed martial arts, I promise you, finish high school with wrestling. And I would even venture to say that if you start mixed martial arts in high school and then you don't wrestle in college, you will be less well off than if you wrestle in college. Go throughout the 5 years of a college wrestling team, preferably Division I if you can wrestle at that level, and the amount of hard work that you're going to do, the amount of discipline that you're going to have to learn, how tough your skin is going to get, how thick your skin is going to get from adversity and weight cutting, and just the toughness and the failure, and then the amazingness and the bliss, but also the pain. All that stuff that you go through is going to make you such a tough man or woman that when you get into the sport of MMA, the sport's going to be so much easier. So join a wrestling team, wrestle. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased because that's my background, but that's what I believe in, and the proof is in the pudding. There's a lot of high level mixed martial artists these days that have a great wrestling background. Secondly, find good management. Don't be afraid to hold out for good management. There's not a ton of great managers out there. I'm not going to sway you one way or another. I have great management. You can do some research, maybe find out who they are, and you can do some research and probably find out some pretty bad managers out there. Some guys who aren't afraid to lead guys in the wrong direction, who are too afraid to stop people from making bad decisions, and guys who might be negative influences. I've never had that with my management. They're amazing. And find good management, somebody who's going to care for you, not just as a paycheck. Guys, you are their paycheck. They make their percentage off of you, and that's how they make their living. So a lot of managers out there will undercut you. A lot of managers out there will tell you one thing and then do another thing. The fight game is a little bit ruthless at times. It's a little bit shady at times. So you got to protect your heart. You got to protect yourself. So find good management. And right away, when you join a gym, find good coaches. Find somebody who can get you some amateur fights. Find some local amateur fights. You're not going to make any money, but you want to get that cage experience. You want to be in the cage. You want to feel what it feels like with that canvas under your bare feet. You want to feel what it feels like to have your hands taped, to put those MMA gloves on, to put your mouthpiece in it and be shirtless, be wearing just shorts and gloves and a mouthpiece out there, unless you're a girl, obviously. But feel the rush of what that feels like. Feel the coolness of the air. Hear the roar of the crowd, even though most likely it's only going to be a couple hundred people. Like my first fight was down at Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri, in front of 150 people. It's not exactly the 10,000, 12,000, 15,000 arenas that I'm blessed to be a part of these days. But when you first start, you need to feel that. You need to hear that. You need to smell what the canvas smells like. You need to feel what the cage feels like on your shirtless back. You need to feel what it feels like to be locked in the cage with another human being, and build your self-esteem, build your self-awareness of what it feels like to be in a cage fighting another person. Do it for 10 fights, do it for 15 fights. Don't rush into signing a contract with a major promotion and risk taking a loss, and all of a sudden, you're taking the wrong fights, and before you know it, you have numerous losses, and now it's hard to get a big contract or a nice contract. So wrestle. Find a good coach. Make sure it's somebody who is correcting you all the time, with some good credentials, with some good fighters under their belt. Find a good management. It's not easy. Don't just go and sign with the first manager who wants to sign you. Make sure they're not taking too much of a percentage. The industry standard is usually around 20%. I would venture to say it should be less, and I'll tell you, I pay less. I won't tell you what I pay, but try to find something less than that, and have fun with it. Don't put too much pressure on the sport. At the end of the day, it is fighting in a cage for a living, and it's tough and it's painful, but it's the most exhilarating, most blissful thing that you can find for an occupation, I think, in my opinion. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. For all you aspiring MMA fighters, 2 things: work hard, try to be a good person, and the rest will follow suit. Good things will happen. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. This is another edition of Iron Michael's Mind. Check out more resources and video blogs on michaelchandler.com. You guys make it a great day. If you're already training, train harder than you did yesterday. Leave it all on the mats. Leave it all in the cage. I appreciate you guys. Have a great one.